The biggest story coming out of the final weekend before the biggest election of our lifetime has very little, actually, to do with the politics of that said election, but it has in fact been co-opted by one side, denigrated by the other, and well, we'll get into that very shortly because the details, it's kind of like this story, are incredibly messy. And what are we talking about here? Well, we're talking about somebody's pet, well, some multiple pets in this case, getting snatched up by government overreach for no discernible reason. At least at time of recording, we don't really have any cause as to why multiple agencies decided to raid the home of the owner of Pnut the Squirrel. Words I never thought that I'd have to say, but we're here on this one to snatch him up and euthanize. Like, what? Give him the old Canadian healthcare treatment? Like, why? Okay, because when I first came across this story, like I'm sure a lot of people out there were very befuddled by all of the details. Like, okay, it's a squirrel in New York, okay? It's like, were they living in like an apartment building? Was it causing problems for the neighbors or something like that? And it's like, I could kind of see how that ends up working, and then it ended up being quite a famous squirrel, has a fairly large following on Instagram and TikTok and other social media platforms. And it's like, okay, so it's not exactly like somebody was keeping a squirrel in their house. This is a fairly high profile rodent. And also, he has been a pet for all 7 years of its life. And oh yeah, this is taking place upstate New York, not in an apartment complex. This is just out on a big sprawling ranch. So, how did this happen? How did we get here? So many questions, but take a look at this. Pnut the Squirrel, beloved pet and internet sensation, euthanized after being seized by New York State. Yeah, and as you can see here, once you start to connect these dots, you can start to see how this story has gotten political. Even though I think everybody can get on side with, the whole government angle of this is blatant overreach. This was, at best, the worst response that the government can take, and at worst, a blatant example of how too much overregulation ends up inhibiting a free and honest society. Pnut the Squirrel, of internet fame, has been euthanized after the pet was seized by New York State earlier this week, according to the Department of Environmental Conservation. What? Okay, the 7-year-old gray rescue squirrel, commonly referred to as Pnut on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, was put to death along with Fred the raccoon. And yeah, we've got it's like, man, I see stuff like this, and I hear it. Man, I don't know, man. Maybe this is why. Like everybody has rallied around this. Fuck it, man. That's really screwed up. Where like this. These were people's pets, right? Like you've got the videos of them. It's like, I've never heard of this before, but afterwards, after seeing these, like so many other people are saying, it's like hatred for the government. Yeah, because this is just somebody, rescued a squirrel, has a big rescue farm, which yeah, we'll get into. And yeah, man, it's like, the squirrel lived in this dude's house, wasn't doing anything outside of just simply being adorable on social media. And yeah, it's like, okay, cool. It's not a traditional animal or anything like that. And I could understand, if it was causing a ruckus in an apartment building, because you hear stories about how, squirrels get either caught in attics or caught in somebody else's garage, causing a whole bunch of damage. But this was not that case at all whatsoever. This was, a squirrel that was for just about the entirety of its life, living with this couple and living in their very nice house. And, well, just, I don't know, man, just, it's befuddling and, really sad and infuriating, honestly. But yeah, so the animals could be tested for the presence of rabies. I mean, wouldn't it be sporting, right? Like, okay, if that's your blanket statement that you're going to put out there, okay, you think that the animals might have rabies. They're on social media all the time. You can go ahead and see if they're foaming, acting erratic. These are people with an animal sanctuary. I think they would kind of have the inside track on figuring out if they're harboring some things that could be otherwise detrimental to their own lives and well-being. Pnut's guardian, Mark Longo, took to Instagram to memorialize his beloved pet in a video. Through tears, Longo, with his girlfriend at his side, said Pnut was the best thing to have ever happened to us. And I hate this. I hate it so much. R.I.P. my best friend. Thank you for the best 7 years of my life. Thank you for bringing so much joy to us and the world. I'm sorry I failed you, but thank you for everything. Longo also asked his fans for financial help for the legal battle and for his nonprofit Pnut's Freedom Farm. The DEC claims that Pnut, who was notably docile and friendly over the course of his very public-facing life, bit one of the investigators on the hand while being confiscated. Yeah, because I would imagine that they were, very friendly and gentle when they were trying to snatch him up in their house. But yes, from his Elmira home on Wednesday. In addition, the person involved in the investigation was bitten by the squirrel. Tested for rabies. Both animals were euthanized. The animals are being tested for rabies, and anyone who has been in contact with these animals is strongly encouraged to consult their physician. Pnut was rescued by guardian Mark Longo after the Connecticut native witnessed Pnut's mother get hit by a car. Oh man, this story just gets sadder and sadder. The resilient and adorable Pnut inspired Longo, not Mongo. Moved to upstate New York last year and found Pnut's Freedom Farm, an animal sanctuary and rescue operation. On Wednesday, Pnut and Fred the raccoon were seized by the Department of Environmental Conservation after multiple anonymous complaints about wild animals living in the Longo house. Interesting. Registered as a freedom farm, an animal sanctuary. Multiple anonymous complaints about wild animals. Really? Now, I've seen some buzz also on social media, and I'm not going to put that person that has currently been identified as the one who, I haven't seen any firsthand information, so I don't erroneously want to blast somebody's face out there who looks like the type of Karen who would place these calls, okay, envious of somebody else's, emotional attachment to another living creature, perceived fame on social media. I'm not going to put that out there until there is some concrete proof that that is what ended up happening. We can just simply all come together and rage at the government, and especially the way that, Mark and his girl were also treated by the authorities. This is like I said, this is just a big situation where we can all come together and say, fuck the government, right? You would think. Pnut the squirrel's grieving owner says he was treated like a terrorist in a 5-hour raid in New York State. 5 hours to get a raccoon and a squirrel. I understand that they are very slick, very creative creatures. 5 hours? An upstate man who, yes, beloved squirrel, was cruelly killed by the state, said he was treated like a terrorist when 10 government agents descended on his home during a 5-hour raid. Mark Longo, whose pet Pnut captured the hearts of 3 million social media users, was stunned when a convoy of vehicles carrying officials from the State Department of Environmental Conservation and Health arrived at his Pine City home on Wednesday. They served him with a surprise warrant, allowing them to snatch away Pnut the squirrel and Fred, a raccoon he'd taken in. They treated me like I was a terrorist. They treated this raid as if I was a drug dealer. They ransacked my house for 5 hours. They asked my wife, who is of German descent, what her immigration status was. I beg your pardon? Oh man, I've also seen this, posted a bunch of different ways, okay? Pnut the squirrel was better investigated than anybody on the Epstein client list. Can't necessarily confirm that at all whatsoever, but it's funny to have a New York government agency care about somebody's immigration status. Ain't that hilarious? They asked if I had cameras in my house. They wouldn't allow me to go to the bathroom without a police escort, who then checked the back of the toilet to see if I was hiding anything there. His own home. Fuck the government. But worse than all of that, they delivered his gray fur. State claimed it euthanized both animals on Friday. Proudly, I bet, so that they could be tested for rabies. Yep. If you know how that test is done and wonder why the animals needed to be euthanized, they got to drill into the center of the animals' heads in order to figure out if they've got rabies. So, yeah. Test results are not yet known. Longo, 34, cared for Pnut for more than 7 years. Having a pet for 7 years, okay? And it's not even like it's getting to the end of its life and you kind of know what's coming and you're prepping yourself for that. No, you're just going about your business, and then all of a sudden, the government rolls up and goes bop bop and takes care of your cherished pets like that. I couldn't even imagine, man. But yes, cared for Pnut for more than 7 years, rescuing him when his mother was hit by a car. We rehabbed him for 8 months. We released him for a day and a half and ended up getting attacked. He never developed the instincts to survive outside. Pnut slept in his own room in their house in Pine City, just south of Elmira, New York. That's a hell of a good life for a squirrel, man. Fred arrived 4 months ago, after being dropped off in the front door and split time between the outdoor enclosure and a room in their residence. Pnut and Fred were targeted, and not other animals living in our 300 250-acre property because they lived indoors. Pnut was the star of Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Yes, even Elon Musk paid tribute to him on X today. And yeah, that is where I'm sure a lot of people also got wind of this, because when he's not out there, taking his support of Trump incredibly vocal, he was spending a wide swath, at least from what I could tell, on Sunday, blasting this story everywhere. And this is just one of the screenshots that kind of took this from being a unifying story of just, these government agencies, man, like, what the hell are you guys doing? Okay. And then made it political, because you see this, and it's Sean McGuire. I think I heard that it's a engagement farm channel, or I'm sorry, a profile. It's supposed to be a meme, so don't take this too strongly. We're going to the response. Blue states seem to care more about euthanizing squirrels and arresting burglars and drug dealers. And then you got Michael Baccarella. Good. Squirrels did about $5,000 worth of property damage to my house by chewing through some pipes. Blue states are focusing on the true menace. Okay, yeah, rodents did something to my house, ergo this guy's pet deserves to take one between the eyes. I beg your pardon? That's your take. That's your take. You think that you're the ones in the right by making that assessment. So yeah, Longo goes to Twitter, thanks Elon Musk for his support, because he's been out there, and you could tell even by that last post, right? 32.7 million people just seeing that one. And Elon has multiple posts about this situation. And so freaks and weirdos are trying to lump him into this. It's like, I don't know his politics. I don't care about his politics. I care that this guy ended up losing his fucking squirrel to this Nurse Ratchet looking bitch. That squirrel murdering, yes, a New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, as you can see right there, head law enforcement officer, Karen, you can't make this stuff up. Priz Kleck, sure, has deleted her account because, yeah, the social media outrage going fast and furiously, brother. Then you got Never Trumpers coming out saying the mega squirrel deserved it. Like, bro, what the hell are we doing out here? I mean, if there's any further development on this story, I'm going to be paying attention to it, because I'm not a big animal guy. I'm not a big pet guy, but growing up, we normally had a dog. We had cats and stuff like that. My sister, without getting into it too much, she's well on her way to being a crazy cat lady. One I'm allergic to, and another one that, I'm a little partial to, and I take care of whenever I have the opportunity to. And yeah, if anything were to happen to them, one I wouldn't really care that much about. But honestly, to take this story and try to spin it some way, like, you motherfuckers are sick. Absolutely insane. And well, if we want to talk politics, let's get into the next video here in about a couple hours time, because this one right here, we need justice for Pnut. We need to put the insane people back into the asylums, because they were also doing their thing over this weekend, and it's time to highlight the round of nonsense. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo, and I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.